Fam, I'm sorry. I've done you guys a major disservice. We've covered a bunch of fighting game characters here on Honest Gaming History, but we've neglected to cover one of the GOATs, someone who changed gaming history for the better.
Known as the First Lady of Fighting Games, she opened the door for female fighters.
Since her debut, she's been a fan favorite. Now she's one of Capcom's, nay, one of gaming's most popular figures. Today in Honest Gaming History, we cover the woman with the thighs that ends lives. This is the history of Chun-Li. Play that intro, son. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of content on the channel, likes and shares are always appreciated. It helps push us up in the algorithm. And if you want to see more of this, subscribe and hit that bell to stay notified whenever I upload new videos. With that, on to the lecture. Iron Thighs Chun-Li made her debut in Street Fighter II, which released in 1991. Her addition to the series symbolized Street Fighter's tone shift from serious to more fun and entertaining.
The roster also needed a woman's touch. Without Chun-Li, Street Fighter II would have just been a sausage fest, and we did not need that.
Her design and character were inspired by Tung Pu from the Strider franchise, and a character named Tao from the 1983 anime film Armageddon Genma Wars. Her legendary thighs, because yes, we're gonna talk about them, came from the character designer Akira Yasuda. He gave her legendary Super Saiyan legs to show her will to push past her limits and keep fighting even though she's dealing with a bunch of dudes.
But apparently this is only part of the truth. According to Street Fighter II composer Yoko Shimomura, Akira made Chun-Li this way because he's a proud member of the Thick Thighs Saved Lives congregation. So as you can see, our boy Akira is a man of culture.
With the basic design down, the team agreed they needed an actual reason for her to be here. The first Street Fighter was simple because you only really had Ryu, Ken, and Sagat. Their reason for fighting was basic as hell. They wanted the smoke, and I doubt anyone needed more than that. However, Street Fighter II wasn't just introducing the series' first female character, but also a bunch of other contenders. They needed Chun-Li's reasoning to be believable.
This was when the idea of Shadaloo, the main antagonistic group of Street Fighter, came to be.
With the introduction of Shadaloo, Chun-Li gained purpose. The devs wrote her to be a detective from Interpol, who's investigating the leader of Shadaloo, M. Bison. So in a way, one can argue that Chun-Li introduced plot into Street Fighter. I mean, sure, without Chun-Li they probably would have thought of something else, but y'all can't deny that our girl directly influenced the team to add Shadaloo and M. Bison to the lore. Anyway, when it comes to her gameplay, Chun-Li not only debuted as the first female character, but also the fastest. Most of her moves were rapid strikes unlike the other heavy hitters in the game.
To balance it out, they gave her less HP, making her the least sturdy of the cast.
Going forward, this style serves as the basis for all female characters in fighting games. Make their offense fire, but lower their defenses. There have been a few outliers though. I believe Makoto from Street Fighter III Third Strike had regular health, but let me know if I'm wrong. Back to Chun-Li, since her debut she's been a major part of Capcom's cast. She's been in pretty much every Street Fighter game after SF2. Along with Ryu, she's the only Street Fighter character to appear in every Capcom vs. game. And that includes legendary Marvel vs. Capcom series and Capcom vs. SNK series. Along with that, she also appeared in Grand Blue Fantasy, Shadowverse, and even made a cameo in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid as the Blue Phoenix Ranger. Chun-Li as a Power Ranger. I don't know why, but it just makes sense. Yo, Capcom vs. Power Rangers when?
Outside of the video games, she also appeared in 2 live-action Street Fighter movies, but they were both trash.
I mean, at the time, the first one wasn't that.
Nah, it was bad. Don't try and defend it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But there was one good live-action rendition of Street Fighter called Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. It was a short series that premiered on the Machinima YT channel, and when it came out, I was pleasantly surprised by how dope of a show it was. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. A second season was announced and it was supposed to have Chun-Li, but the last we heard of it was back in 2014, so I don't know if that's still happening. Leaving the live-action stuff, Chun-Li also appeared in multiple Street Fighter animated movies and the American animated series.
She's been in comics too, kicking fools in the face for justice.
So as you can see, Chun-Li has been everywhere. If Capcom is involved, her and Ryu are probably on the way. But with that, it's time to talk about the story behind this thick-thighed goddess. Onto the lore of Chun-Li. Before Chun-Li became the force of justice that she is now, she was a young, innocent girl who was into classical theater. At the age of 5, she witnessed her first Peking opera in Bruce Lee flick. She was taken aback by how cool the movements were, and from there developed an interest in martial arts. Fun fact for anyone who didn't know, ancient Chinese martial arts actually heavily influenced Chinese opera and dance. This is why the dancing we see in Chinese theater looks so dynamic. There is grace in it, don't get me wrong, but get too close and you might catch a graceful foot to the face. Her newfound curiosity for the hands got her to start learning Tai Chi, an ancient internal Chinese martial art that can be used for self-defense, but is mostly known for its meditative and health benefits.
However, her father, Dorai, peeped and was like, nah fam, let me show you how to dish out the smoke.
He taught her Hong Kwan, another traditional style of Chinese martial arts. Through her father, she quickly excelled in her training. Being someone who was known for his powerful legs, he taught her how to throw kicks like a pro.
As she grew older, she started tapping into other martial arts to develop her own style.
One of those martial arts being capoeira. Yo, if you haven't tried capoeira, I def recommend it. Probably one of the most exciting martial arts I've ever gotten into.
Anyway, after years of training, Chun-Li's father mysteriously goes missing. This pushes her to follow in her father's footsteps and get a career in criminal justice. Her first mission? Find out what the hell happened to Papa-san.
She eventually joins the International Criminal Police Organization as a narcotics investigator. This brings us to Street Fighter Alpha, not the game that Chun-Li debuted in, but regarding the timeline, this game falls right after the first Street Fighter and right before the second one. In Alpha, Chun-Li continues her search for her missing father. She runs into Gen, her former teacher, friend of her father's, and retired assassin. He tells her that the criminal syndicate Shadaloo may be responsible for her father's disappearance.
With that, Chun-Li pushes forward and finds the syndicate's leader, M. Bison. She's like, "Where the hell's my dad?" Then M. Bison replies like, "Bitch, fuck yo daddy," and easily wipes the floor with her.
Following this, Bison dips, and Chun-Li wakes up later in the hospital only to find out that the crime lord went to Thailand. However, this ending was slightly changed in Alpha 2. Instead, Bison leaves a conscious Chun-Li after whooping that ass. But before he leaves, he's like, "Oh, your dad? Yeah, I killed that nigga. Bye." Then he dips.
Afterwards, Chun-Li is chosen to be Interpol's primary investigator for Shadaloo. She swears to get revenge on her father's murderer, then continues her investigation, thus taking us to Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Here, Chun-Li teams up with US Air Force agent Charlie Nash to take down Shadaloo. Their journey leads her to another member of the US forces and friend of Charlie, Guile.
Our girl and Guile start off on the wrong foot because Guile is only here to bring Charlie back home. But they end up working together when the three of them are tasked with blowing up the Shadaloo base in Thailand.
While planning the bombs, Charlie stays back to destroy something called the Psycho Drive, a weapon created by Shadaloo meant to channel psycho power. M. Bison would have stopped them, but he's too busy fighting Ryu. Unfortunately for Chun-Li and Guile, Charlie is forced to stay back while the compound explodes, leading to the world and SF fans everywhere assuming that he died. Afterwards, Chun-Li and Guile manage to gather enough evidence to shut down Shadaloo, but they're still very shook about their loss, especially Guile.
This takes us out of the Alpha series and into Street Fighter 2. A second World Warrior tournament has been announced and Chun-Li's been invited.
She finds out that M. Bison never died when his base exploded. He's the one who organized this tournament, so she enters with the sole purpose of giving that bastard the business. It's unknown how far she gets, but she ends up working together with Guile, Ryu, and others to jump Bison.
After beating the final boss, Guile tells him to stop the nonsense and surrender. But Bison refuses and blows himself up with his psycho power.
However, because the Street Fighter story can be hella confusing, another possible ending is that Bison escaped and got yeeted by Akuma later. Not 100% sure which is canon here, but what does matter is that M. Bison is done, for now. Following all that shit, Chun-Li visits her father's grave to let him know that she avenged him. Eventually, Interpol takes down Shadaloo again, and Chun-Li decides to start living a simple life. Until Street Fighter 4.
Our girl hops back into action after hearing about the rise of SIN, or the Shadaloo Intimidation Network. With Shadaloo literally in the name, she knows the shit is sus. M. Bison is probably back doing the devil's work.
Her hunt leads to SIN assassin Juri. They throw the ones, but Juri bodies Chun-Li, thus sparking their rivalry.
After recovering, Chun-Li hears that SIN is hosting a World Warrior tournament.
See, the CEO of SIN, Seth, is a genetically engineered weapon who was meant to serve as a spare body for Bison.
However, after Bison's supposed death in SF2 and the fall of Shadaloo, Seth decided that they might as well use this opening to their advantage and take over the remnants of Shadaloo. Fuck Bison, they ain't friends.
Now Seth is planning on using this World Warrior tournament to collect data on powerful fighters, to perfect their fighting style. They specifically want Ryu for that Satsui no Hado.
Chun-Li hits up Guile and Cammy, and they enter the tournament to end this branch of Shadaloo. She runs to that menace Juri again, but beats her this time.
Then she infiltrates the base and finds important Shadaloo info, but she gets trapped once the place is set to self-destruct. Luckily, she's saved by Abel and Guile, ending another Shadaloo disaster. Sadly though, this isn't the end of them. Shadaloo returns in the next game in the timeline, Street Fighter 5, and Bison's back too. If you've seen any of my Street Fighter Honest Gaming history videos, then you already know. But this dude Bison ain't good at that dying shit.
Dude's like a fucking psycho-powered roach.
Anyway, Bison's plan this time involves these doomsday weapons called Black Moons.
He kidnapped hackers to make them for him, but these guys do better than just listen to this crazy ass nigga. Along with the moons, they created a key meant to shut them down.
They divide this key into 7 pieces and get into 7 special individuals, Chun-Li being one of them.
Our girl gets involved with all this when she joins Guile to investigate a city blackout caused by one of the Black Moons. Once there, she spots M. Bison with the squad and immediately rushes in for the smoke, even though she's never managed to 1v1 Bison before this. The tyrant gives her them E-rated hands, but before he ends her ass, Cammy the GOAT jumps in to save her.
Also, don't know what happened in Street Fighter 5, but Cammy got ripped, bro. Like, she was always pretty brolic, but look at her now, son. I gotta give him that Cammy workout plan. Anyway, after Chun-Li's defeat, she's eventually hit up by Kara and Kanzuki, Together they start searching for the rest of the key pieces. Once they manage to find them, they shut the moons down.
But a new Street Fighter character named Fang didn't like that. To keep the plot going, he sets the moons to come crashing towards Earth. Fang, the fuck's your problem?
So Chun-Li and the good side of the Street Fighter cast raid the Shadow Loop base again. Oh, and Charlie's back to help too. After his supposed death, he was revived by a mysterious group dubbed the Illuminati. We'll get more into them in a bit.
Unfortunately for Charlie though, he supposedly dies again while trying to fight M. Bison during the raid. I know the game makes it look like he's dead, but the way people just be coming back in the story, anything is possible. Let's not forget that this dude Goken just randomly returned in SF4 after getting murked by Akuma. Somehow emptying your soul can save you from the raging demon. How does one even empty their soul anyway?
Following Charlie's sacrifice, Ryu challenges and finishes off M. Bison. Maybe. It's M. Bison, so you can never be sure. Meanwhile, Chun-Li and the fam stop the moons from descending and defeat Fang. She finds the daughter of one of the hackers responsible for the Black Moons, a little girl named Li Fen. She rescues her and leaves her Shadow Loop base with everyone as it crumbles to the ground. From here on out, Chun-Li starts taking care of Li Fen and teaching her the art of iron thighs, thus taking us out of SF5 and into the last game in the timeline, Street Fighter 3, Third Strike. Now I know you guys are probably sick of the quick gaming facts, but fuck it, fun fact. And this is something that I learned from Matt McMuscles' video. Check him out, he makes fire content. But apparently, Street Fighter 3 started off with a pretty bad reception. Virtua Fighter and Tekken 3 were already out at the time, so even though SF3 had some of the best 2D animations in fighting game history, people thought Capcom was holding on to a dead aesthetic. They expected them to make some groundbreaking 3D fighter, not stick to 2D. Also, the only returning characters were Ryu and Ken. Everyone else was new. Now people, I'm all down for bringing something fresh to the table. But damn bro, just Ryu and Ken? Y'all couldn't throw in like Sagat or something? Fortunately, the follow-up, Second Impact and Third Strike, ended up doing way better, thus redeeming Street Fighter 3. As for Chun-Li, she doesn't do much here. Street Fighter 3 is like post-time skip Street Fighter. It's Street Fighter Shippuden. Everyone from the original cast is old and either retired or looking forward to it. Except for, you know, Ryu and Akuma. They gotta make room for the new generation to make waves, and the Illuminati, who plays a much bigger role here.
These guys were created because of some ancient prophecy that spoke of the end of the world happening in 2200. They were like, well, can't have that, and started making moves secretly to save the world.
The prophecy stated that the Messiah would save humanity and lead them to a utopia. So over the 2,000 years of their existence, they've been kidnapping, genetically enhancing, and training children. The top of the class would be selected to become the president of the society.
Gil and his brother Urien were part of their latest class, and Gil ended up being appointed president thanks to just being better than Urien.
This sparks a Sasuke level of hatred for Gil within Urien. Shit gets so deep, he ends up challenging Gil, only for his brother to let him win. Bro, getting beat is one thing, but winning when you know the person lets you win is the worst.
So Urien gets promoted to El Presidente, but he's still tight because he knows Gil let him win. However, what makes this even more hilarious is that Gil didn't lose anything because of this. The Illuminati believed in Gil so much more than Urien that they just promoted him to their messiah after the fight. These niggas really said, loss? What you mean? Gil just got beat for our sins. That nigga's Rainbow Jesus.
Too bad Rainbow Jesus is freaking nuts. He's down for saving humanity, but he doesn't want his utopia to be filled with the weak ass people he sees now. He wants to build a world full of built different ass niggas.
So he announces another World Warrior tournament to weed out the weak from the strong. Imagine having a fighting tournament to decide who gets to live after Armageddon.
Meanwhile, Chun-Li is living her new life as a martial arts sensei for a bunch of orphans, Li Fen being one of her pupils. But Urien kidnaps the poor girl for his science experiments.
With that, Chun-Li hops into action to save her student. In the tournament, she runs to Urien, whoops that ass, then saves Li Fen.
After that quick excursion, they head back to China and Chun-Li continues teaching these kids about the art of the iron thighs, thus putting an end to the story of Chun-Li.
This is not the end for her though, since she's so important to the Street Fighter IP.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna appear in more titles both inside and outside of Capcom. Plus, Street Fighter 6 has to be coming out in the near future, so we'll see her in that too. The only question now is, where will Street Fighter 6 fall into the timeline? Will it be after 5 and before Third Strike, or will it take place further in the future and fall right after Third Strike? If it does come after Third Strike, I can very much see them doing what they did for Street Fighter 3 again, bring a bunch of new characters while keeping one or two old ones. And with what I've seen from the Street Fighter 5 roster, I'm actually more open to that. The new character designs, for the most part, have been pretty cool. Ed, Zeku, and Lara are my favorites, so introducing new fighters to these streets would be dope. Let me know how you feel about this though. Should Street Fighter 6 overhaul the roster with brand new faces, or should we stick with the old sauce? Drop your comments below. However, with all that being said, I'm off this. End screen. What's going on, fam, and thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Honest Gaming History. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share with all your Street Fighter friends or people who just want to learn more about Chun-Li, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and hit that bell to stay notified whenever I upload new content. Also, shout out to my patrons, the guys who give the extra funds each month to help your boy out. Appreciate you guys for all you contribute to the channel. Without all of you, doing this each month would be extremely hard, so thank you. And special shout out to my A-rank patrons, the guys who choose to give even more each month. Vamp Cinder, Third Dynasty, Broken Rosary, Daniel Gonzalez, Victor Garcia, Mustard Gas, Zach Haji, Curtis Clarkson, Jody Boy, Nick the Nocturne, Jakari Scott, Sugi, Trav Will, and F&H Paul. As usual, thank you guys so much for giving the extra funds, but as you all know, if you cannot give any funds, it's all good. You just getting here, getting to the end of the video means a lot, so thank you. But with that being said, I am off this to work on a new video that's not gonna be an Honest Gaming history, but it's gonna be something else, and I think you guys are gonna like it a lot. I'm not gonna get into it now, but if you're watching the streams, which you should be, it's on Twitch, follow me, then you know. But with that being said, be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there, Black Lives Matter, and don't forget, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Peace out, fam.